Opportunities for Broome. Podcast.
Hey, this is Scott. This is your host for the first OFB podcast. I'm here with Emily, the Special Services Coordinator. Emily, how are you this morning?
Great. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Could you do me a favor and tell us, the viewers out there, a little bit what you do here?
Sure. So my job pretty much has two kind of components. I oversee our special education / disabilities component as well as our mental health kind of counseling component, and I'm going to speak on the disabilities part first.
Okay.
Basically, what we do is identify children who may have a disability and provide appropriate services for those children with disabilities. And kind of what that means is when a child enters into our program, they're screened using one of our screening tools called the Ages and Stages 3. So there's different parts of this tool that will screen depending based on the child's age.
Okay.
So they ask age-appropriate questions for the child. They're screened in the areas of problem solving, personal, social, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech. So from those results, if there's any areas of concern, those children will get referred for further evaluations. And out of those evaluations, so basically like a physical therapist might come in and give an evaluation for a child who's scored kind of low in our area of physical therapy. Out of those evaluations, those children will get referred to their home school district. And then if the school district finds out of those evaluations that the child is in need of services, that child will get services in that area. Okay, so from those evaluations, they'll go through the special education process to their school district and see if they need to qualify for services. And those children will receive services right in our classrooms. The therapist will come in and provide those services, which is really nice for children who are struggling, because a lot of times we find if we can help children with these extra services, maybe they're having some fine motor or gross motor issues, having that.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Emily. What does that mean for the viewers out there?
Sure. Maybe a child that has a sensory processing disorder, they need some extra deep pressure, they're struggling in maybe the gross motor area, they need extra input, if that makes sense, or they need to kind of run around a little bit more, or some of the activities I've seen are like pushing a wall to get out some of that energy in helping with their sensory issues.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So what is nice is I've seen a lot of times children come in, they qualify for services. Then once by the time they get to kindergarten, they might have worked on some of these areas of concern that they don't need services going into public school. Sometimes that happens, which is great. And sometimes they need extra help when moving into public school. But either or, getting them kind of identified and working on the issues is very beneficial for the students that come into our program. So currently we have about 62 children that are receiving services in all of the different areas I mentioned. Occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech. 35 of those students have been identified since they started our program. So 35 students we've identified as needing some extra help in these areas, and they are getting those services to help them work on those areas. So that is pretty much the disabilities component. Do you have any questions maybe about what I just said that might have been confusing?
No, maybe just some terminology, like when you say gross motor skills, what does that look like? What does that mean?
Gross motor are using your bigger muscles, like running, jumping, skipping, and fine motor, which a physical therapist would work on, would be writing, stringing beads, things that you would be using like your pincher grasp for, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So smaller muscles. Then, Scott, I'm going to talk about our mental health component, which pretty much I kind of sometimes call myself the counselor, the Head Start counselor here. And I oversee our mental health services, which means I conduct classroom observations. So I have a whole checklist of areas that I go in and I kind of observe the teachers to make sure that they're providing the children with activities to help social emotional skills.
Excellent.
Are they helping the children learn how to share? Are they helping the children learn how to have a conversation back and forth? We have a wonderful program that we use in all of our classrooms. Their lessons are built in our conscious discipline program, and that helps children with self-regulation skills if they're struggling. In the classrooms, each of them have what they call a safe place, and this is where the child can go to be by themselves, to kind of calm down if they're upset, work on some breathing strategies. So we really focus a lot on the importance of social emotional well-being in our children, because I feel that if a child does not feel safe or secure, it doesn't have those social emotional skills, then they have a hard time learning. So I think those are critical to make sure a child feels safe and secure in our program. So that's what I do with the mental health classroom observations. Also, I do monthly consults at each of our Head Start sites, and that means I have scheduled times at each of the sites where parents can come in and talk to me if they're concerned about their child's mental health, if they're concerned about any maybe disabilities that their children has. So that's available to our parents to either call or come in during those times, just to kind of give them extra support around those areas. I'm very familiar with local agencies, so if I feel that something is kind of out of my realm that I don't really, I need to refer out, so I will do a lot of referrals to parents to different outside counseling agencies. So I can provide referrals as well if that's something that the family is interested in. In addition to that, I also provide some counseling and play therapy for extra children that might be struggling with kind of some behavior concerns in the classroom. And that's nice because I can meet with kids individually and just kind of work on some play skills and social skills. And I found it beneficial for some of the children because they're kind of getting that one-on-one attention. And then I can consult with the parent and talk to the parent kind of what we're working on. So that's one of the areas that I work on with some of our students as well. And I don't know if you have any questions in that area.
No, I don't. Are the parents, can the parents give you a call here at Opportunities for Broome?
Yes, they can. They can call me at my office here. And also the newsletters that go home for each of the students, as well as my schedule is posted at each of the sites. So I have designated times where I'm available at their child's site where they can come and speak to me in person. So they can
excellent.
call or they can come in.
And the phone number for Opportunities for Broome?
Sure, it's 772-6810.
All right, thank you. Do you have anything else, Emily?
No, thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure talking with you this morning.
You too, Scott. Thank you.
All right.
Opportunities for Broome. Podcast.